Hi, right, so just giving a quick tutorial to you, okay, about doing shortening hems of jackets. So, there's my new line, okay. Now, I would suggest that when you're shortening your husband's or boyfriend's jacket or whatever you're going to do, these buttonholes are chain stitches, so once you do it from the wrong side, okay, just unpick it with your unpicker. You've got an unpicker, right? It's on a chain, it's what we call a chain stitch. So once you unpick it there, the edge where it starts, it should unravel the whole lot in one go. It's a bit tricky at the beginning, but you should be able to get it. So never ever keep that, because remember, that's going to be there. Now, you'd have to undo this one as well, because see how close it is to the hem, your new hem. So undo that one as well, and then just retain these two. And then because usually they're 4 buttons, so I'd only keep 3 buttons. So I'll put 1, 2, 3, 1 second. Okay, so always bear that in mind. So undo this, it's a chain stitch, and then undo that one as well. And usually maybe the four buttons, I only put 3 buttons back, so I'd retain that buttonhole, 1, 2, and then whatever that width is, mark it with chalk, and then put your third one up, okay? Now, I've actually cut this off, okay? So always, before you cut anything, look at when you unstitch the lining and everything, look at the original hem, and you've got to retain that original hem. The original hem of this was 2 inches, so I've cut 2 inches, so I've left the original hem, and I've turned it up to the new hem allowance, okay? Okay, that's fine. Now, this is your crease line of how it was. Can you see that, where the side of the button hole is, okay? So you've got to retain that, and so crease that back in, okay, with your iron. Just crease that, you want to keep that. It's very important, okay? Now, the jacket's to the wrong side, okay? It's just easy to work. Make sure everything's flat and it's all creased nice, okay? Now, this is my new crease line, okay? So, your new crease line, iron it up, okay? So use your sleeve board, okay? You can see I've got my sleeve board. And iron, press it, what we call pressing in the trade. Press that up all the way around, okay? So mark it all the way around and press it all the way around. Okay. Okay, you got that. Okay, so now you've got your new crease line in, okay? Just make sure it's all in nicely, because it's very important. You press it before you do anything. So you've got this as your guide, okay? Now, if we go back to the buttonhole side, now don't forget you put your jacket to the wrong side, okay? It's just easy to work with, okay? Now, you can actually see your crease line when it goes up. So you can actually see your crease line there. If not, just press it again, so you can actually see it. Get your chalk mark, right? So that's a 2-inch hem allowance, okay? From the original. Mark it. So that's where it turns up, okay? Now this crease line where the buttonhole is, mark that as well. So you should be able to see that here. I can actually see that here. If you can't, just press it nicely again. All right? Just press that nicely. Very important. Okay? Well, hopefully you can see me. Okay. Someone's trying to message me. I hope you got that. Okay. So where your crease line is, that folds over. Remember the buttonhole side? And where this turns up, they've got to intersect exactly. Okay. Can you see? So where my turn up is, my 2-inch turn up, put a mark there. And where your buttonhole side crease is, there, which I'll just crease it again. You probably can't see it. Just make sure you've got a nice sharp crease line. All right? Okay, so where that to the side goes, can you see? I can actually see that now. That will go there, okay? So just chalk mark that. So they intersect together across. So it'll look like a cross now, can you see? So that's the side of the buttonhole, and that's where that turns up. Mark that. Now, where this hem turns up to the top, okay, you're going to mark that. See at the top where it finishes? So put a chalk mark there. Now, where this top is, where that turns up to the top, and where this intersection here, where this crosses, you've got to, this is where your mitre actually is, how it forms. So where the top is there, through, can you see? Through where you've actually creased it up, you're going to put a mark at the top and through that intersection of that cross. Exactly, okay? It's got to be perfect, okay? and that will just carry on. So just draw that straight line down, and that's how your mitre forms. Your mitre hem forms that. You see, that actually intersects. So that line actually goes through the intersection of where that folds over and where that turns up, and that's how you form your mitre. Okay. Now, I will just notch that. Just cut that a little bit there, so it's through a little notch, and then you can actually, if you want to, just where your little snip, just mark that. Okay, and do the same at the top. So where the top is, just cut into it a little bit, and then you can actually, on the right side, just put a chalk mark there. Okay, now you're going to put two right sides together. So you draw your line, put two right sides together, and these chalk marks where you remember you snipped into it, they've got to marry exactly together, and that's how you get your mitered. Can you see? They're going to go exactly together, and then you're going to stitch exactly on that line. Okay, you're going to stitch it on the machine. So I'm going to do that now. Now, before I do that, you see you've got all this excess here. Depending on how short, if you've got to shorten a jacket, 4 inches, you're not going to have this extra fabric there, which is like the vent of the jacket sleeve, and you won't be able to do a mitered corner properly. You'd have to do it by hand. But if you only have to turn up a little bit, you'll retain that extra, and you can do this mitered corner. Okay, so bear that in mind. I don't want to get involved too much technically with you. All you got to do is, if you've got this extra there, you can see where this extra fabric is there. You've got enough to do your mitered, and your mitered actually. So I'll just recap what I've done. That 2-inch hem allowance, fold up to where your hem finishes. Yeah. Okay. Mark at the top where it finishes, and where that crease line, where the buttonhole is, see the side of it. That actually intersects with your crease line where that folds up, that 2-inch there, exactly. And then you draw your line from the top through that intersection line, and that actually creates your mitered, okay? Your mitre section, okay? Right, and draw a line through. Then snip it at the top, snip it at the bottom there, and then the right side, you put them exactly together, okay? All right? So they're going to go exactly together here. So make sure the line is exactly, okay? Can you see? The two chalk marks go exactly together, and that actually forms your mitered edge, okay? Got to go together. And then you just stitch on that line down. So I'm going to stitch that now, and then I'll get back to you. Okay, so I've stitched, okay? So I've stitched, you remember, where your little snips we put at the bottom and at the top. You put them together, okay? So you snip it, and then you remember where your chalk mark, you've done that straight line through the intersection of the cross, and then just stitch it. Now some people, they'll actually snip this excess off. So you can snip it off. See this past this stitching, all this excess there? You can snip it off, but you won't be able to redo the alteration again. So I just leave it there. So put your finger in, okay, and then just where your hand is, so just put your hand in there. Just get right into the edge there, okay, and then just turn it through, okay. Can you see that? And then you can use a needle, or you can use a little screwdriver or something to poke that nicely. See it in the corner out. So I'm just going to get a little screwdriver, and you'll see what I do. Okay, so now if you get a little screwdriver, you can get a little screwdriver and just see the edge there inside. Just poke that through, or you can get a needle and just prise that out a little bit. Okay, right? Do you understand? Right, there we go. And then what you're going to do is there's your mitered. Can you see that? And that's how you do a mitered corner. And you just press that nicely in. So you've got to be accurate remember before the edge, and when it's turned up, remember you mark it through the intersection, and then you've got your mitered corner there, okay? And then you go and finish off your lining accordingly, okay? So you can trim off this if you want to, but if if you've got to alter it, you know, maybe you've done it wrong, you're going to have big problems. We'll trim it off, because some people trim it off. I don't, but we'll trim it off because it reduces the bulk. Okay, so you can do it this way, but I don't usually do it, but I'm just showing you both ways. And turn that through. Remember where that edge is at the bottom? So you want to get a nice finish here. So as I said, sometimes I'll just prise that open, but just be careful with it when you're doing with a needle, because you can actually ladder it, or you know, the threads can come through. So I'll just use this. I use a little small, I don't have a little small screwdriver, but try and get a thin little screwdriver and then just poke that little thing through, all right? And just press that nicely, okay? So then you'd press that on the, you can press it on the wrong, usually I'll press it on the wrong side here, so it doesn't mark the actual hem. Can you see your mitered corner there now? It's your mitered corner. Depending, okay, there you go. There's your mitered corner there, okay? And that's it. And then you'd finish it up with the lining. So hopefully that's helped you. There we go. So of course I'd get rid of this buttonhole before, and I'd get rid of the that one as well, okay? So and there's your mitered corner there, okay? So that's it. All right? So hopefully that's helped you. Any questions, let me know.